fan fiction. It is something that has existed for a long time in the Dragon Ball community and in other works of art. And are there elements of Dragon Ball fanfiction that have existed for a long time before Dragon Ball Super actually created these fanfiction ideas? Well, let's talk about it today, as I will give you the 5 old fanfiction ideas that Dragon Ball Super brought to life. But first, just so we can clean up any forms of gray area, let's define this. Defining a fanfiction idea before Dragon Ball Super created it would be an idea or concept that the Dragon Ball community has either desired or brought to life in fanfiction through artwork or their own story. So let's stick by that definition. So the first one that we should talk about is female Super Saiyans. This is an easy one right here. With Kalen Caulifla, the whole female Super Saiyan drought has come to an end. Regardless of what you think about canon, Dragon Ball GT even indirectly brought this fan debate up as to whether or not females can even turn Super Saiyan at all, as the Dragon Ball GT Perfect files along with the Daishenzu 7 implied that both Pan and Bra may have had the potential but could never do it based on circumstances. Or if it was just the simple fact that females simply cannot transform into a Super Saiyan, as Pan's grandson Goku Jr. had the ability to turn Super Saiyan being a 16th of a Saiyan. So this is definitely a fanfiction idea that people have been playing with for years, that Dragon Ball Super made true with the transformation of Super Saiyan Caulifla. The next we have the return of Future Trunks. I would have to say that some of the most popular fanfiction Dragon Ball stories I've seen on the internet often involve Future Trunks. And this is easy to believe considering the fact that it's so easy to wonder about a character whose conception in the series brought about time travel. But what I'm referring to specifically is the notion of what happened to Future Trunks and what would happen if Future Trunks came back to the past to either help with the threat or to ask for help for the threat itself. And some can argue that Movie 9, also known as BoJack Unbound, played with this idea before, but Trunks simply came back to visit and the story went into a plot that obviously forced Trunks to fight. To follow what I mean specifically, the story has to be centered around the world of Trunks as the way it was in the Android arc, as we saw both Cell and the androids as the primary antagonists. You may also say that Xenoverse and Dragon Ball Heroes also plays a role into this too, as there is so much to discuss here that I can make a separate video discussing the specifics of how much Future Trunks fanfiction there is versus how much was actually put into the works before the games and even Super even touched this. And the interesting thing about Future Trunks is, compared to other Dragon Ball characters in fanfiction, he often had a love interest in them, and the interesting thing is that Dragon Ball Super brought this right to life with Mai in the Future Trunks arc. And an old website that's very popular for Future Trunks fanfiction would have to be Templo Trunks, which has existed for a very long time. Next we have the concept of multiple universes. Prior to Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F, the multiversal theory was applied to the Dragon Ball world with the concept of multiple universes in many forms of fanfiction. The biggest example of this would have to be the massive fanfiction manga called Dragon Ball Multiverse. However, Dragon Ball Multiverse is different from what we see in Dragon Ball Super, as the universes are more based on what-if scenarios that went in a different direction versus other universes with completely different people and characters. For instance, there was a scenario in Dragon Ball Multiverse where Future Trunks found Android 16 in Dr. Gero's lab and rebuilt his future with the help of Android 16, and I say all of this to point out that this concept existed before Super brought it to life. Next we have Super Saiyan God and Godlike transformations. Even though the actual form we got in Dragon Ball Super and in the Dragon Ball movies was very different from what fans actually depicted, if you look throughout history, Super Saiyan God or Godlike Super Saiyan transformations have always been drawn in fanfiction for years. I mean, this is dating back to the earlier days of the internet. Take a look at this one specific image of Goku and Vegeta that was clearly inspired to have a godlike feel based on the clothes and coloring to it. And this is an image that I've had ever since I was role-playing Dragon Ball characters on an internet group on MySpace called the Sons of Liberty guys. And what Dragon Ball Super did is that it took Super Saiyan Red and Super Saiyan Blue, or if you just want to call them Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, or Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, whatever you want to call them, it took those transformations and gave them their own official design and official name tagged onto them. But the Super Saiyan God concept has existed for a long time. And last but not least, guys, we have an evil Goku. Now, I understand by saying evil Goku, a lot of you guys immediately started thinking about Turles, as he is a character based on the evil Goku concept, but we have to be very technical and we have to be very clear with what I'm talking about. Turles is an evil Goku concept based on a what-if scenario of Goku not hitting his head and being an evil Saiyan Goku, and what Goku would have been like if it wasn't for Goku hitting his head. And my friend Blackenfist made a great video explaining all of this. But the conception of what I'm talking about in the Dragon Ball community is completely different. I'm talking about an evil Goku himself. Turles, although he is based on an evil Goku concept, he is an original character. I'm talking about Goku being evil, or Goku's body being used for evil deeds. And that's exactly what Dragon Ball Super brought to life. Although the concept of the character is similar, the technicality of what the fanbase looked for is satisfied in Dragon Ball Super and not satisfied with Turles in the Tree of Might. Let's use Frost and Frieza as an example. Frost at the beginning was said to be a good Frieza, even though he eventually wasn't a good Frieza, and that would be very different from actually having a good Frieza and Frieza changing his ways versus a completely different character based on Frieza with a different role. And that's exactly what I'm using to compare both an evil Goku and having Turles in this whole means. But ultimately, guys, these have been my 5 old fanfiction ideas that Dragon Ball Super has created. I've waited a while to do this topic as I thought they might add more ideas to the series, as they've added a female Super Saiyan, and in addition to this, they've touched on more to the whole multiverse in Dragon Ball, as we're actually having a tournament of power in Dragon Ball Super, as opposed to just knowing that other universes outside of Universe 6 and 7 just simply exist. So let me know what you think in the comment section below today, and share your ideas about other fanfiction ideas that Dragon Ball Super or any other aspect of Dragon Ball has brought to life. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.